these Saturday nights, we are
Mm.
delighted guests of the Bumblebees in Dortmund.
Hello and welcome to RB Global Tracks, which is Leipzig's very first RB Leipzig podcast in English, brought to you by Richard and Mario. Amongst us, we are season ticket holders, passionate supporters, and not so neutral local pundits, and both of us have been following Leipzig football since our childhood days. So if you want to hear about RB Leipzig, capture the mood of the fans in the city, and if you want to go beyond numbers and statistics, you are in the right place. We're delighted to welcome you on board, so let's go. Auf geht's, Leipziger Junge Richard. Richard, how the devil are you tonight?
Hey Mario, thank you for the invitation tonight. I'm fine, but I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. You know, there's this tiny holidays at the end of the year. It's called Christmas,
Oh, is that
and
happening again? Bloody hell.
yeah, suddenly.
What a surprise.
To me at least, and it feels like as if I should start to um make some ideas by myself. What would be good gifts to the ones I love? But besides of that, I'm cool.
So what are you going to get me? Oh, you don't love me. Oh, there you go. That's fine. Not a problem. But you know, today's actually, we call it Nikolaus, Saint Nicholas, you know, where the Germans clear their boots or clean their boots and put them outside. And Saint Nicholas comes along, puts in little gifts for the kids. That happened last night. So this morning, our kids were really happy. So this is what we're celebrating here in Germany on this day. So kids are happy. But yeah, once you pass that day, you know Christmas is approaching fast. So good luck. Be creative. Richard, are we going to talk about football today? I think we are. So what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about our key takeaways from our encounter against Heidenheim, and we're looking forward to the match of these Saturday nights. We are delighted guests of the Bumblebees in Dortmund.
And they really look like it. So yes, we're going to be traveling to Dortmund. But yeah, let's first have a quick look back at our game versus 1. FC Heidenheim. And it was really, really cold on that Saturday. Saturday afternoon, Leipzig was covered in a white blanket. We had sub-0 degrees, frosty and icy in places as well. And it did cast my mind back to March 2018 when we played Bayern Munich, or RB Leipzig played Bayern Munich. Coach then was Mr. Hasenhüttl. And that was the first time RB Leipzig managed to beat the mighty Bayern Munich people. 2-1 was the score. Werner and Keita scored for RB Leipzig, but the first one who scored was Sandro Wagner. Do you remember that? And the little show he did there in front of the away supporters, but they didn't come from Munich. I guess they all came from East Germany. Yeah, Sandro Wagner, co-manager of the German football team today. So well done to him. And we just hope he's going to do a great job, that we don't suffer too much in the summer. But yeah, the encounter was taking place in a stadium which was kind of cold as well. There were supposedly 44,000 tickets sold, but to be honest, if there were 33,000 people inside the stadium, that would have been a lot. I think a lot of people decided to stay at home. Still, the atmosphere was good, especially bearing in mind that Goal Penda had a couple of chances and did actually score in the 29th minute.
Und damit haben wir einen neuen Spielstand der RB Leipzig. Das FC Heidenheim. Danke.
And so we were relieved to see that, really happy and celebrating that. It was a lively game, and I thought RB Leipzig was pretty much in control most of the time of the match. But what delighted us even more was Yusuf Paulsen.
Tor für Leipzig. Erster FC Heidenheim. Danke.
Who did score as well. He scored his second goal of the season, kind of sneaked that ball in after a great assist from Raum. And you know what that means, Richard? That means Mr. Paulsen has scored against the team of Hoffenheim in all three leagues, in the third division, so to speak, in the second division, and now in the top flight, top level Bundesliga. So I thought that was really a great fun fact. But great effort on Yusuf Pausen. The goal that RB Leipzig conceded just before halftime was really unnecessary, but it happened. And well, we held on to a 2-1 win, created a lot of chances. I think could have won even higher. But let me tell you, I almost had a heart attack just before the end of the game because towards the goal behind which we are sitting, there was this last chance of Heidenheim. And that ball sailed over the bar very, very tightly. Giannis only moved his arm at the very last second, but it would have been too short anyway. So in that sense, we were lucky not to concede that goal and just end up with a draw. But I was so happy when the game was over because it was really, really cold. So, Richard, what is your key takeaway from that match?
Yeah, you said it. Basically, Heidenheim was lucky that at that point when they nearly scored the equalizer in injury time, they should have been down by 3 or 4 more goals. So we had extremely a lot of chances. And to me, this is a little step, one more little step into the right direction in terms of development into a top team.
What do
So
you mean by that? I mean, we did not really score a lot of goals. It was very, very tight in the end. It didn't look to me as if a top team played one of the new kids on the block.
yeah, of course, but let's take a look at what Bayern Munich did when they played Cologne away back a few days. So they created, I don't know, a ton of chances. So they should have scored at least 3 or 4 goals, and they ended up in 1-0 win. And this is what top sides have to do. They have to win games. All right, it's not always necessary scoring goals. Like yeah, like I don't know, like a Ford Fließband. I don't know.
Conveyor belt.
Genau.
But I like the Ford Fließband. Beautiful.
You have to win. You have to win the games, and that means you have to score one more than your opponent. Okay, this is enough, and this is fine.
Ka-ching!
Ka-ching, yeah, but look at our games in the recent weeks. We were superior versus Mainz and didn't create any chances. Okay, that was
True,
by
true.
far our worst game, and especially in offensive effort. So, but a few days later, we played against Wolfsburg in the league. We were the superior team again, created chances, but didn't score enough often. We didn't convert enough often, and so we lost 2-1. So, but this time we were a superior team. We created chances, and we didn't convert on all of them, but at least we converted once more than necessary to win the game. So
True.
and to me, I see a pattern here. So because stats don't lie, our best games in terms of expected goals came in the past few weeks. So if you take a look at that, there was a week 9 game against Cologne with 4.2 x goals. Week 13 versus Heidenheim, so that game we're talking about, with 4.0 x goals. So
Oh, really? I didn't realize that. Okay.
I mentioned our game against Wolfsburg already, in which we had 2.7. Then, okay, there was this week 7 match versus Bochum. It's a little outlier because we had 2 penalties. But the other games were against Darmstadt and Freiburg. In both of them, we had 1.9x goals. And if you look down further in this column, you will find our games. Okay, Mainz, I mentioned that it was by far the worst game, but the other 7 to last games in terms of scoring not much X goals came in week 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I can clearly see a development here, what will lead us finally, hopefully, to a top side in the league.
So, Richard, this is your key takeaway. Makes us really hopeful for the remainder of this year and hopefully the rest of the season, which is still long. Just, I like just to shout out to two Italian gentlemen who I met in the stadium. That was during the match. That was during halftime. It's Vincenzo and Davis. I hope I got those names right. Both of them live in Leipzig. And to be honest, during the conversation, I found out that they studied German philosophy. So afterwards, I realized I could have spoken to them in German. It was probably a bit better than mine, actually. So, but I did convert English in English. So, the interesting part was is that Vincenzo was wearing a hat for AS Roma, and he told me that he is hoping that Lazio Rome will meet us in the knockout stages. So that's going to be interesting. But I like to think that he would still support RB Leipzig. And AS Roma is the place where I think Rudi Völler played quite a few years. So it's the right club, isn't it, to support? So thanks to the two of you. It was nice meeting you and chatting to you. I know it was very cold. And if you do listen to us, thank you for listening and welcome on board. So, Richard, something else is coming up. And that's that top match on Saturday versus Borussia Dortmund.
Introducing our next opponent, their ignorant check.
Always an interesting encounter for us. Always a top level game, especially also bearing in mind that Marco Rose was a coach for Dortmund at Dortmund for a year, and he was very successful. He took him to the second spot in the league, and then he had to go. So that was really interesting as well. So, what do you think is going to happen this weekend when we travel to Dortmund? It's a very important game. Huh? They're sitting just behind us. 1 point. Is it 1 point? I think it is. In the fifth spot.
1 point behind. Yeah, you said it. You nailed it. A win here, and we go away up to 4 points margin over Dortmund. That would be nice. And to be honest, I'm quite optimistic here.
Okay.
And because if we show up what we showed in the last several games in terms of creating chances and converting them, and combine this with our efficiency we showed in the early days of this season, we have a really, really good chance to come up with 3 points in that match. And
actually, you're more optimistic than I am, so I'm just going to shut up and listen to you.
Okay. Listen carefully. We had it already.
You only say it once, I know.
Yeah, Dortmund played already versus the 3 of the top 4 teams in the Bundesliga, and they didn't look good in all of those encounters.
Mm-hmm.
So they lost 0-4 at home against Bayern. A few days later, they lost 1-2 in Stuttgart, at Stuttgart, and most recently, last weekend, they draw 1-1 draw at Leverkusen, and it didn't look good there either. So they were really, really lucky that they didn't lose that game, although Terzic afterwards complained about the not given penalty that they had.
I know.
But to be honest, Leverkusen should have awarded a penalty before that. So to me, it was a clear foul against, I think it was Grimaldo, in the penalty box, and neither the ref saw it nor the VAR came up with a check. I could not understand
because they sit in Cologne. Come on,
Okay, maybe that's the reason. Right? So they didn't look good in that. So okay, in those 3 games, so like 1 draw, 2 losses, 2 goals, and 7 goals conceded. Okay, and I think we are at least as good as Stuttgart, and if we reach our ceiling, we don't have to hide Leverkusen's or Bayern level. Okay, so in general, they are struggling defensively, and to me, this is because, in my opinion, they don't got enough defensive-minded midfielders. So, where we have Schlager and Haidara and Seiwald, and we had Leimer. All of those names, I think, are great midfielders, and they do their jobs offensively, but they're also good and maybe even better in terms of defending in midfield. And Dortmund only got Emre Can, Felix Metscher, and Özcan. So only those 3 people. And what Terzic often does, Dortmund's Oberbeleuchter, he often puts Sabitzer in defensive midfield, and to be honest, in my opinion, Sabitzer it's a great player. I'm still a little bit sad that he left us to Manchester a few years ago. I think we could have needed him more. But as far as I remember, he is way more better than offensively than he acts defensively, and that
Hmm.
leads, in my opinion, to more open spaces around the middle in the field shortly before the penalty box. So if we come up with our speed,
Hmm.
with our quick game, with our speedsters towards the middle, down the field, and we won't face a lot of
Resistance,
yeah,
maybe.
thank you, a lot of resistance there,
Mm.
and so we can take prolific passes into the penalty area, into the penalty box, and we'll create chances, no doubt about that. And this is our game. Right, so we have Baumgartner, we have Xavi, we have those dribblers, we have those passers with great abilities, passing short and middle distances, 10 to 15 yards, and down the field. So this is our game, and that's why I'm quite optimistic here.
Because when you mentioned creating spaces through the middle, the first player that came to mind with his signature move is Xavi. You're right. This could be really, really, really powerful. Just one word about Sabitzer. He left us for Bayern Munich first before I think he was loaned out to Manchester United. And in certain ways, I do miss him as well. And there in some other ways, I guess we moved on. No, and but it does look strange seeing him in that shirt, in that BVB shirt. So if that makes you really optimistic, that's great. On the other hand, they seem to have really strong offensive power, great attack. Do you think our defense will be strong enough to hold them back?
Well, we will see. They showed us this season, so Dortmund showed us this season that they're capable of scoring a lot of goals, and they scored 26 goals already, and they did not have a single penalty kick. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, that's quite impressive. So if you bear in mind that we had five
Mm.
and scored 31, so we're equal in that. Um,
But we
our defense,
conceded a lot less goals, didn't we?
yeah, we conceded a lot less. Mhm. But yeah, you said it. They got a lot of creative power. So they got Julian Brandt. I'm a big fan of him.
Mm.
I always think that he never reached his ceiling. Um, but is still a great player. Marco Reus, of course, the experienced offensive motor,
Mm.
great on free kicks. So Ryerson or Ryerson, I don't know how to pronounce that correctly, and that left defender who is always nearly half of the time when he's on the pitch, you will find him into the opponent's area. And Bino Gittens, not to forget, an incredible young player with enormous speed. That was going to be a great challenge for our defenders to keep this pace. And yeah, they got a really, really dangerous attack. And not to forget Füllkrug here.
I
I was
know.
I was
Yeah.
very doubtful when I heard, okay, it's Füllkrug. Okay, Dortmund goes for Füllkrug. Okay, you want to go for the championship, you want to go maybe for the cup and try to reach semifinals in the Champions League, and you need a striker, and then you go for Füllkrug. What? Um, I didn't understand that move, but I think he fits pretty well in that offense. So in both scoring, so converting by himself, and yeah, creating shot or goal creating actions.
Mm. Okay. Yes, I must admit I'm surprised as well, and I was as skeptic as you were. Okay, so it should be a very interesting match, also because we have two great goalies. Kobel is an extremely is a very good goalkeeper, and also Yanis, even though he at times looked a bit shaky versus Heidenheim as well. But all in all, he is there. He's our big rock between the sticks. So, what do you think, Marco Rose? Who do you think Marco Rose is gonna put into the starting 11?
Liebe Fußballfans, wir kommen jetzt zu unserer heutigen Mannschaftsaufstellung.
Coach Rose will send out Blaswig, Henrichs, Klostermann, Lukeber, Raum, Schlager Haidara, Xavi, Baumgartner. I think Baumgartner is way ahead of Forsberg now. And of course, Paulsen, who's and Paulsen have to be a captain, okay? So if he got this, if he's got this captain's duties, he scores.
Okay.
He was captain against Wolfsburg, scored, and he was captain against Heidenheim and scored. So okay,
Okay, let's make sure he's going to be captain.
This
okay,
is not accidental,
and don't jinx it.
And there's still one missing, of course, Mr. Goaltender.
Well, goaltender, we can rely on him, can't we? I mean, 10 goals in the Bundesliga already, 14 across all competitions. The name is already justified, Mr. Goaltender and or Monsieur, and we can just keep it up.
Yeah, that's the correct narrative. You said it. We're not depending on him. We can rely on him. Okay.
I got one more question for you. I'm not sure if you can answer that, but after some of these performances that Borussia Dortmund and the way they played, a lot of people claim, especially on social media, that they are the new Union Berlin. And it was quite destructive style of football, not very attractive. Do you share their view? Are they the new Union Berlin?
Not in my opinion, not in terms of playing style, but in terms of, in Germany we call it Spielglück. What's in English? Match luck, lucky bounces. I don't know. So if you watch those games, you often feel like, oh, they're a little bit more lucky than they should be, and that is what Union was. So the last 2 or 3 years, and now it seems that Union, got rid of all that luck, or
and pass it on to Dortmund.
This.
Okay. So in terms of score, what do you predict? It sounded quite even to me, actually, but what are you going to go with?
Always, it's a funny old game. So that's why people go into the stadium, because they don't know who's going to win.
Oh my God!
I know.
Ka-ching.
but I do know. And Leipzig's going to win this game 2-0.
2-0. Wow. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. So let's see what happens. It should be a really good game. And it's going to take place Saturday night, 6:30 Central European Time. And the Bundesliga sales manager should have an easy job selling that game in comparison to last night's DFB-Pokal, Wolfsburg versus, who was that? Gladbach. No. And why did we lose to them? I don't know. Anyways, Richard, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. We're going to be recording early next week ahead of our little encounter with Young Boys Bern. Thanks a lot for listening. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot for subscribing. Leave us any notes if you wish on Twitter. You can find us at podcast_RBL, or send us an email, talk to us at rbleglobaltracks.com. And we wish you a wonderful rest of the week. Keep your fingers crossed for Saturday night's game. And auf geht's, Leipziger Jungs.